Today I'm going to talk about Marc Chagall and one of his paintings, I and the Village. So, Marc Chagall was the eldest of 9 children, and also the eldest of all his siblings. He was a Russian Jewish, which means he attended a local Jewish religious school in Russia. Well, since they can't have general people and Jewish mixed together to go to the same school. During his school days, Chagall had the habit of drawing and also copying images from books, which later on turned into a love for art, and which he decided to become an artist when he grows up. Even though his parents was not pleased by the idea of him becoming an artist, they still sent him to the Jewish private school in their hometown for students to learn how to draw and paint. Well, it's pretty much like an art school in Russia. So he learned how to paint, he learned to paint and draw with the teachers. Chagall moved to Paris when he was 23 years old. At the same time, Cubism was a huge deal in Paris, and Chagall actually found himself with the style of Cubism in his paintings. He didn't actually know how to speak French, so he actually attended classes at a small academy, and he started painting his early paintings. For example, The Poet, or 3:30 and I and the Village, which is what I'm going to talk about later. When he was in Paris, Chagall actually painted scenes of his hometown. Yeah, for example, it's he used subjects from some of his memories. For example, wedding scenes or fiddlers playing on the rooftops. Yeah. So after some brief visits to Russia, Chagall actually fell in love and then became engaged to Bella, who became his wife a few years after. And then after they got married, Bella actually became the subject of many of Chagall's paintings. For example, Bella with the white collar. Not long after they got married, they decided to move back to Paris. But then, after the outbreak of World War I, they decided to stay in Russia longer. So, after World War I ended, they got enough money to move back to Paris. They moved to Paris again, but a few years after they moved to Paris, the World War II actually spread among most of the Europe, and which forced lots of great modern artists, both Jewish and the ones that are not Jewish, and have them to flee to the United States. So Bella and Chagall both arrived in New York City after they fled. So when Bella died because of an viral infection, and after Chagall got remarried, he still painted Bella in lots of his paintings. It's some of them are Bella watching from the sky. It's Bella's protecting Chagall from the heaven. Chagall didn't paint from sorrow or sadness or hatred. But instead he painted from love, which is his love for his first wife, Bella. So that's why he's actually called the artist who actually painted from love, or the artist who paint love. He also said that he can't paint a painting without the color of love. So here are some of his paintings. For example, I and the Village, Peace Window, and also Paris Through the Window. From all these together, you can see that Chagall doesn't paint it with only one kind of art style. He wasn't limited to, well, maybe cubism or maybe only fauvism, but he actually combined the different styles together to put it in the painting. For example, I and the Village. So this is what I'm going to talk about. So for the two of the main figure in this painting is like the man with the green face and the goat. To me, the two seems to be looking at each other. So when people ask like if the painting is flat or not flat, well, I think it might be a really tricky question because it's not really flat but not really three-dimensional either. For example, there's this color sense that seems to be a shading because some part is darker than the others, which suggests the shadow, and also suggests the depth. Especially with the tree of life at the bottom, the tree is like super bright colored while the background of it is like super dark. So to me, the tree is kind of like popping out of the painting. But for the other parts, you can actually sense the depth, but not as much to make it like three-dimensional. So yeah, they are not really three-dimensional, but not really flat either because there's a sense of depth. Another interesting thing about the painting is that he actually put many of little objects in the painting. For example, like this roll of architecture or houses in his hometown. It's like a scene from his hometown, which actually is like why it's one of the examples that he put the memory of his hometown into his paintings. So there are also like this man with axes behind his back. Well, he's like holding the axe. He seems to be going to somewhere to probably chop something down, and there is a woman who's upside down with her hand gesture. You might think that she's probably a fiddler who's like playing upside down. Here's the other one. This one is, well, on the face of the goat. There's a lady milking the cow or like the goat. So from these, you might think that this painting might be like in a countryside in Russia. Well, since the houses are in Russia, it's like the setting is in Russia. So let's back to I and the Village. I don't know if you noticed that there is kind of like a circle here. It's connected with like the lines in the background, and also like the wrinkle in the face, and also the darker and the lighter part of the goat's face. Another interesting thing about the painting is that it actually has two art movements put it together. It's actually analytical cubism plus fauvism equals I and the Village. It's not really all analytical cubism. It's because like for the example here for the analytical cubism, it only has a limited color of like yellow or ochre. It's either a little bit lighter or a little bit darker. It doesn't really have the bright colors and as the fauvism. But for I and the Village, it has the kind of lines that seems to cut each part out into little pieces, and which might suggest it as analytical cubism, but it also has bright colors, which is fauvism. So together, I think I and the Village might be analytical cubism with the color usage from fauvism. So I think even though this this painting to me is kind of weird, it's I and the Village is one of the most influential or one of the most important piece of work that Chagall has ever made. Or yeah, this painting is actually the painting that got him famous. So maybe I don't really like the style of this painting, but I still had a lot of fun learning about it. And thanks for watching.